Un actor que llevábamos mucho tiempo queriendo que nos visitase porque sin duda es de ese tipo de actores que nos encanta. El Gran Premio Honorífico 2018. Welcome, Harris.
Everybody's been very nice to me and I appreciate it very much. First part of the question.
Okay. És un honor estar aquí en una ciutat tan bonica com és Sitges. Se sent molt honrat i que té moltes ganes de demà rebre aquest premi a la cerimònia i que tothom ha estat molt amable amb ell.
I don't know exactly, but I think I've made close to 80 films now. And yes, some of them have been in the science fiction realm. And Westworld, you know, is an interesting proposition. We have season 3 coming up next year. But yeah, I mean, things have changed a great deal. There's so much product now, you know, on all the various cable stations. I think there were over close to 500 scripted shows. So the whole filmmaking process has changed. I mean, yes, there are great things being written for television. It would be nice if in the theaters themselves more films got a chance to play, more independent films, you know, for longer periods of time. But I was talking to Peter Weir last night, and we were discussing this very thing about the nature of the platform of film and that kind of thing. And he said, you know, the question is whether you would want your film to be put in the theaters for as long as it could last and then just disappear pretty much forever, or to make your film and maybe it's not in the theaters for very long, but it lives for as long as there's people watching things on various cable stations. And so I guess, you know, if as a filmmaker and someone who wants your work to be seen, I guess the latter is the choice, and that's what's happening. Not that we have any choice about it.
Hollywood actually really exists, and if it does, if it really exists, if Hollywood really exists, or is it, or maybe because this is only a concept, and if you feel part of this community.
Well, I know there is a big sign, Hollywood, on that hillside. So I know that exists. I live up the coast a ways, you know, and I stay there. And then I go work to do my work. Other than that, I guess I'm somewhat a part of Hollywood because I enjoy being in film and acting and directing film. But in terms of the kind of, I don't hop now very much.
What is acting for you? Is a passion or what else?
Acting is one of the first things that my first acting teacher said to me was that acting is a way of life. It's not necessarily just fun and games. It's a way of looking at the world, a way of being in the world. And over the last 21, when I started studying, so that was 47 years ago. Yeah, it's a passion and I still enjoy it, and it's a way of using my senses and being aware of the world around me and the people that I care about and those that I don't, and keeping your senses alert all the time and trying to grow as a human being. I don't think you can grow as an actor if you're not growing as a human, so I try to do that the best of my ability.
Okay, that's 3 questions. Which role was the most challenging? Among your many colleagues, which is the one that you have the fondest memories to work with, working with? And the third is your influences. We can stay here for 3 hours, maybe.
What's the first one?
The first one is, which role was the most challenging?
No, I guess there are several. Pollock was one, because I worked on it for so long. And then I made a film with Agnieszka Holland called Copying Beethoven. And that was a big challenge. I worked on that for about a year. I mean, when she asked me if I wanted to do that film, I said, "Are you joking?" And she said, "No, you can do this." And, you know, so we did
perhaps. A colleague among the many you have worked with, you have the fondest memory of working with.
Mi esposa.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And if you could also elaborate a little bit about what inspired you as an actor, your influences, basically.
There's so many. Are you talking about other actors or what? Or just
Maybe movies, other actors?
Movies, books, comics.
there's so many things that are inspiring. You know, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm sure I've been influenced by a number of different. You know, to me, what's exciting to me is not. There's so many wonderful actors on the planet. You know, all over the world, and what excites me is to see a performance that is just a jewel and a gem and so right on, you know, where there's no bullshit and no, just so true. That excites me, and it doesn't matter who the actor is. I find that's what I love about what I do, is when things just are just, you know, right on the money.
If you have any plans to continue directing, especially after considering the great results and the great results you had in the past as a director?
You know, the last picture I directed was Appaloosa, which was maybe 8, 9 years ago. I've been looking for something to direct again since. I was interested in a couple of projects, but the properties were owned by someone else or unavailable. I read a book called The Plowmen, which is written by a writer, American writer, Montana man, Kim Zupan. And it's a film that I adapted and wrote the screenplay. I think I optioned the book in 2015. I'm hoping to shoot this spring with Robert Duvall, Garrett Hedlund, my wife Amy, my daughter Lily, maybe me, but I hope not. It's kind of a dark, character-driven story, but I think it could be really great. And I'm just trying to get the money. It's tough, you know. We wanted to shoot August, September, but couldn't quite get it together. So I think hopefully this spring will be filming. And you know, I've only made 2 films, but I hope to make a few more before I leave this earth.
Mucho tiempo me preguntaron si alguna vez me había sentido cerca de Dios y mi respuesta fue negativa hasta el día de hoy. Bienvenido, Mr. Quería preguntarle...
Wait.
It's the best question. Yeah. I've been asked since a long time ago if I ever feel close to God, and I always denied, but now I can say I feel close to God.
Bless you.
If you can just elaborate a little bit about your beginnings, basically your acting school, and also what were your influences during this specific period when you were studying?
I grew up in New Jersey in America, and I was a pretty good student, but my main love was football, baseball, American football, baseball. And I realized after my freshman year in college, that was about it, you know, for this athletics. And my folks had moved back to Oklahoma, middle of the country, where the University of Oklahoma is. And then one summer after my freshman year, I saw one actor play Tartuffe in Molière Tartuffe, and Sancho Panza in Men of La Mancha. And he was very different in both, and very funny, and having a great time. And I was watching, and I thought to myself, people are standing and clapping. It's like scoring a touchdown. You know? I thought maybe I could do that. So I began to study, and I realized it was something that was very different for me, and a whole new experience of looking at things and way of being. And it was a new challenge, and I accepted it, and kept studying. I just, to become the best actor that I can, which is still what I try to do. The one thing about you always learn. You're always learning. You're always growing in your craft, your art, whatever. And if I stop doing that, I'll stop acting.
Of the star system in Hollywood has changed completely with the eruption of the social networks. And probably Truman Show is kind of advanced this kind of scenario. And but even after the Truman Show, there has been a huge evolution with new shows like reality shows, Screen Live, they call it Screen Live now, etc. What would you think are the limits of what is public, what is private, what is intimate?
Well, I suppose, want to have a camera in your bedroom and record everything that goes on in there, and you want to do that, fine. Doesn't mean I have to watch it, though. So I don't know. I don't suppose there really are any limits. It's really up to the individual, not just the purveyor of it, but the witnesses of it. I don't know. That's an answer.
Yeah, you mean the witnesses are also to blame for this, not only the person who provides this kind of show. Is more or less what you wanted to say?
Well, no, to blame, but I'm not putting blame anywhere. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that if whatever content is available, people want to watch it, they'll watch it. I'm not one for censorship. I think, but there's a certain question of taste, but that's an individual one. So I think the line is crossed, obviously, with violence or with snuff films or whatever. I'm not condoning, hurting people at all. But anybody who's, I don't know what to say.
No, if there is not violence or something, you just don't judge, which I think this is basically. Yeah. But in about the original or traditional concept of or perception of a star system, do you think it has changed a lot?
Oh, that's been history for a long time. I think that's been gone almost since I started in the business. I mean, you always have your exceptions to people that are huge.
Yeah.
And that will always be the case. People that are making, tens of millions of dollars of film. It's pretty rare these days.
But you say this is an exception, no?
I think so.
Yeah. How do you choose a role? I mean, what takes you to finally decide between this role or this other one? That's the first part of the question.
It's you read it, you have to get a script, you read it, and the character, the script's either well written and you are interested in it about something that you're interested in, or it's a good story, or it's not. Then there's a character. Is it similar to something you've done before? Is it something new? Is there something exciting about it? Who's directing it? What other actors are involved? And once in a while, it's solely a question of someone's got to pay the bills.
The second, that's the final question. The second part of the question was, you work with Jaume Collet Serra, that is a Catalan director. Would you like to work also with other Catalan directors? Jaume Collet Serra. Yeah. And he's a Catalan, as you know, and there is other Catalan directors that if you would like to work with them, like Jay Bayona.
Yeah, sure.
Hasta aquí la rueda de prensa. Thank you very much.
I would like to say one thing. That it doesn't have to be on the record, but I somewhat embarrassed and apologetic about our current government in the United States. I find it appalling, distressing, and sad, and I'm sorry that we put the man in office.